Today, we want to welcome Ryan, one of the co-founders of Plunge, a company on a mission to make cold plunging as common as coffee. Welcome, Ryan. We're excited to have you here.
Excited to be here.
Well, I'm personally very excited about this episode. I'm someone who hears a lot about cold plunging, but hasn't taken the plunge yet, so they say. So I'd love to hear, how did you get started in cold plunging, and where did the idea for the company come from?
Yeah, my personal journey started, well, I always trace it back to the original Vice documentary on Wim Hof, which I saw in 2015. That was my first introduction to cold exposure being used as this intentional tool, for health and vitality. So I learned it there. It had a massive impact on my life. And then I actually started to go through some health complications. I didn't really integrate much of Wim Hof's, his teachings till later. But about 2017, I was going through some health complications. My kind of health mentor was like, hey, let's start incorporating some breath work and some cold exposure into your lifestyle. So did that and actually made a huge impact. I had gotten 6 colds in 6 months, which was a lot for me. Thought I was relatively healthy. Started incorporating that. Within a couple months, I was no more sicknesses that I was seeing. So that was when I became okay, I'm a believer in this. This had an impact on me. And then I started more plunging for the mental health or the energy side of it. So was getting into it and was just almost addicted to how good it felt and, how I would feel coming out of a cold plunge. So that was my early times, way before the company. The company itself started, more of a story out of the pandemic. My co-founder and I, Mike Garrett, we both had float spas, so sensory deprivation, kind of these holistic wellness centers focused on float therapy. He owned a number in the Bay Area. I had mine in Sacramento. We were both super into cold plunging, but it was more of just a practice that we had, nothing from a business end. Well, the pandemic hits, closed our businesses down here in California, and so we gave us a little time. He set out, he was the inventor of the product. He started working on it in his garage. This is April, May, June of 2020, building the product. And kind of started to pitch me on it and said, hey, what do you think about doing a business around this? At the time, the market really said every unit was about $10,000 and more. We were like, man, I think we can do this and bring this price down to about $5,000. It was more of a product that we wanted. And we originally set out, we said, hey, let's email 20 people we have this email list from our other business. They're health and wellness aficionados. Maybe they'll be open to this. And we said, we'll sell 20, we'll hand deliver to your house. And that was really the genesis of the company. And it accelerated from there. Launched out of the garage, and here we are almost 3 years later with, shipping units all over the world.
So the stories of shipping out of your garage, I think there's more of those than people realize. So talk to me a little bit more about your product. What is it? How is it different? And how does it help people really get into cold plunging?
Yeah, so our product, our core product, it's, what is it? How is it different? I think from what the original market had, like I said, everything was kind of these hand-built wood products that were more of a Etsy style product, where ours, is an acrylic bathtub. It looks it's different. It's just a different look, and at a price point that was about half of what the market was at the time. So that was the original initiation into it. And, we've built it up with a real scalable production process where we can build a lot more, which keeps that price point down. And I think for just people in general, getting into the cold what is cold plunging? Everyone talks about it. There's the cold shower world. You can buy a trough, fill it up with ice and water. Our product allows for full body exposure at your set temperature on demand. The difference there is you could buy a trough, you could fill it up with ice, you could fill up your bathtub. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, and it really adds up in money. So, our product is just there. It's already hard enough to get into 40-degree water. No one really, at the end of the day, I do it every day, and I still don't want to do it every single day. And, the more barriers that are in between that and actually just being able to get in the water, or the things you have to do to make that happen, it's going to lower the odds of you doing it. So, our product is there for someone that's just wants it on demand. It's ready. It's clean water and it's cold water. And I think it gives a unique, aesthetic and a unique look. And, that's what our product's been to date. What I'm really excited on is future generations of products that we're going to be releasing. We're soon going to have an app where everything will roll through there, and you'll be able to get guided videos and get, protocols and tips and more of an education on how to like start your journey. Cold plunging, it's a practice where whether you talk about, strength training or meditation or these things that take time, you learn nuance to them. You learn different ways to practice them. Let's just take strength training, for example. There's a learning curve. There's a time that you have to get into it. You can't just do it once and work out and then expect your muscles to, build that strength. You got to do it consistently. It's a lifelong practice. And cold plunging, we view it very similarly, where it's, yes, you can do it once and you'll feel great. However, it's a practice that you want to build into the lifestyle. And by doing that, you build the resilience, you build the responses from the nervous system. And you can build the better practice where you can have lower temperatures or go longer. But that's a big kind of premise that is important for us. And why our product's important. What we feel it solves is that you can actually do this every single day.
It really sounds like you're making this complex world of cold plunging much easier to be able to do, and in a really beautiful way. The products are gorgeous in terms of if you're someone who looks at design or really wants to make sure you have health products that look good. I would definitely put that on there. You talked a little bit about it. You said things like nervous system improvement, but what are the other benefits of cold plunging, and how often do you do it? When do you do it?
Yeah, I think different people see different benefits, and that's actually something that's blown me away. Like, I got into it for what I had said, I had immune system complications. That became more robust and more resilient for me, so I didn't get sick as much. So that was really cool for me. But hearing it now, where we have thousands of people that have gone through this experience, and we hear feedback from it, it's across the board what we see. The improvements that are happening. But the number one thing that we see is on the mental, cognitive mental improvement side of things, which is a boost in energy and an elevated mood. I mean, we're seeing it's a 250% increase in dopamine when you go through this experience. What is dopamine? Dopamine is a chemical in our body. It's a precursor for what we would describe as being more focused, having more motivation, confidence. Like, those are things that when dopamine is at good, solid levels, those are the outputs that we start to see. And dopamine, obviously, there's different forms of that. You can get dopamine. Cocaine provides dopamine. Well, cocaine, you get that moment, but there's a swing in your dopamine. There's a net negative effect that comes down where it swings and it actually lowers your baseline dopamine. Where cold plunging is a totally different. You get the upside and it's sustained over, that day, but you don't get a swing effect where your dopamine levels start to rise. It actually raises your baseline dopamine if you do it consistently. So that to me is one at the top out of all the benefits that I could list and share of different people having these experiences, but the mental health side of it is top and the most consistent that I see.
And are you seeing your customers tracking cortisol levels over time or HRV over time to see changes in those metrics as well?
Totally. We, wearables are obviously a massive, lot more people getting into that. HRV is a big one that we see, and that's a pretty quick improvement. People can see that in a few days where their HRV levels are improving. Cortisol, from a tracking standpoint, I think what we're seeing is, it's I think lowering cortisol in the long run, but obviously when you plunge, you're getting a jolt of adrenaline and cortisol into the body. That's what's happening. That's the response you're actually looking for. It's like a healthy, safe amount to come in controlled. And then you learn to kind of regulate through that. Like, you get this induced environment, which is very rare. Usually when you're getting, let's say, adrenaline, into the body. You can't really plan for it. It's something, it's a moment that is kind of pulls you in, and that could be someone screaming at you. That could be a car whizzing by you. These moments in life that you can't really prep for. Well, cold plunge, you actually can prep for it. It's an experience that you know is going to happen. You can get ready for it. You are safe, but you're going to induce that environment. And then that's where you get to regulate and control the heart rate and actually learn to kind of calm yourself down in a highly stressful situation.
Yeah, it's an example of good stress. We have good stress and we have bad stress, and our systems are expected to do the fight or flight response. It's how you kind of manage it afterwards. What's your actual response to this? So it sounds like from a resilience learning standpoint, it's also a good opportunity to figure out, all right, I'm going to put myself in the stressful situation and I'm going to get better at dealing with it over time. For people who maybe hear the term cold plunge and it's around Twitter, you're hearing it online, different brands, companies like yours are popping up, but they haven't yet started it. What's the best first step to try it out? And how long does it take to, I would say, get comfortable or get accepting of the colds that you're going into?
Yeah, I would say starting out, I think now is a great time as it's growing. There's a lot of commercial centers that are popping online that have cold plunges. Even on our website, you can go and find our commercial partners that have them around the country. You can just Yelp it. You Yelp cold plunge and find an area in your market. Most urban markets are going to have it. That would be the starting spot that I would go to, is go for the full body exposure, get in, have an experience. I would recommend also bringing a friend. Your first time or a couple times doing it, we're just so much more capable with people around us. And, there's a way to, I just think it's important. I think we do Wim Hof workshops with our staff, and, it's just a totally different experience when you're around a group of people to when you're doing it by yourself. So I think finding a commercial place, pretty low cost, get in, buy a session, go with a friend, have that experience. Showers are a different category. People can get cold in showers. I always like to preface that, though, is it's different. You're gonna get this jolt of kind of energy and a wake up and you're doing something hard, but it's a totally different experience, especially from like a cold plunge product where you actually surrender into the cold. You can't really surrender into a shower. We've all maybe turned that knob cold and it's just like, oh, this sucks and this is annoying. And you come out and you feel a little more energized after, but you can't, at least for me, I haven't really been able to like regulate and calm myself down in a shower because it's hitting different parts of my body. It's not this like I'm in fully submerged and can work on my breathing. So I always say showers is a spot when I'm traveling, I'm taking a cold shower. I think it's great. I think it provides some energy and that healthy level of adrenaline into the body. The other option for people is you could always go buy $50 trough at Home Depot, fill it up with ice, fill it up with water on a one-off experience, and do that and try that out and get into it for a couple times. Do it for a few days in a row and just see how you feel. You're going to feel great. Like, I dare anyone to get out of a cold plunge and not smile or laugh. Like it's not going to happen. So that would be my recommendation, is try that a first few times, and fall in love with it.
So many good kind of tactical first steps on that. Obviously, cold plunging is part of your daily health routine. As you think about kind of everything else, it's only a piece of it. What else do you do personally to focus on your physical health and focus on your mental health?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, obviously, like a lot of my focus is in building this company. So that it's like seasons of time and making that a priority, and also being CEO of a health and wellness company. It's important to me. Like, this is the lifestyle that's important to me. So other things that I like to incorporate in, I have a trainer. It's the best hack that I have. So I have 2 trainers actually that kind of meet different things for me. So that's like, I just show up, they take care of me on that's a hack that's been there for me. So from a fitness standpoint, I just have it baked into the calendar. I now schedule in walks into my calendar. So every day from 3 to 4 p.m., you could look at my calendar and I go outside and I go for a walk and I try to take phone calls, any meetings that I have, just from the phone, go out walking. So those have been little hacks into my life. I'm obviously owning a float tank center, big believer in floating, and what that can do. And we have some other modalities there. Sauna is massive. I utilize the sauna a couple times a week. I have one here at the house. We have one at headquarters. So I'm in there usually doing contrast between the two. But when I do heat, I more focus on the heat. I go longer there. So try and get every session there at least 30 minutes in the heat at around 190 degrees. It's kind of my temperature zone. Yeah, and I say all that, and it's like they're all tools. Like there's not one that cold plunging has honestly become the most consistent thing. That is the everyday, non-negotiable one that I do. I'm not floating every day. I'm not doing the sauna every day. Workout probably every day, but cold plunging, and why I say that, as I think it is the greatest ROI on all the activities. I only got to be in for 2 to 3 minutes, and every single time I come out feeling incredible. So there's really no excuse from like, oh, this thing popped up and I can't do that. So yeah, it varies. All those pieces have been critical into maintaining health.
And what's your average cold plunge time? How long do you stay in?
3 minutes.
Okay. Did you start at 3 minutes, or did you start less than that?
It started, I think when I started, I would actually go longer because I would do it on more of like a one-off basis, and it wasn't as consistent. And there's something to like, I want to get as much as I can out of this. And it's a little more of a, it was just different mentality, where now that I know that I'm going to do it every single day, 3 minutes is kind of my sweet spot. And my temperature's right around 46, 47 degrees is what I have mine set for. But yeah, to that question, if anyone's starting out, I really recommend finding, especially if you're going to start doing it all the time. It's one thing if you show up and it's like one team, you go to a retreat and they have a cold plunge there, and you get in, you're with a group of people, go for it. Go for the 39 degrees and the 4 minutes if you can do it. Like you're with other people, you're in this one-off experience, you are capable and you can do that. But if you're really building the practice, I always say start at 55 degrees and just go for 30 controlled breaths. Like let's start there and don't worry about lowering the temp or going longer. Like that will naturally come, and you'll just naturally become stronger. Like when you go to the gym, you'll naturally start to put more weight onto your machines, and when you're working out, because you're getting stronger and your workouts will evolve, that just get into the gym, just get a sweat on. And that's the same with the cold plunge. So I always recommend don't go for the home run the first time. Just find a temperature, find a time that you're going to show back up tomorrow. And and one important factor to think about though, when you are really, the most important thing is when you're getting in, does your breath get taken away? Do you get like shallow breath for a moment and it is a feeling that I want to get out of this water? That's the feeling that you want to experience. As long as you're getting some level of that, where your mind's like, let's get out, this is cold and I don't want to be in here, you found a right temperature. And then that's the zone, just to how do you elongate that breath? How do you just surrender a little bit more and lower that heart rate, and the rest take care of itself.
And it sounds like the products and tools that you all are building can really help figure out, all right, here's the best place to start for you, and then let's continue to get into this, which is what's exciting about the more digital, connected, automated aspect versus a trough in Home Depot.
Totally.
Which definitely makes a lot of sense as you think about where the future of health is going. You want decisions taken out of it. You've done that with your fitness, with a personal trainer. You can do that with cold plunging here. How do you kind of, as you think about everything else related to health, how do you think about nutrition? Do you follow any specific diets? Is there any specific kind of food supplementation that you really rely on a daily basis?
Nutrition's been always trying to get to know my body more, what works, what doesn't. Right now, as I'm giving this interview, I'm doing the program 75 hard. I'm actually doing like a format of it. I actually am not doing 75 hard. Let me be clear. I'm doing what I call 75 soft. My partner, she's doing 75 hard, so I'm kind of supporting. Right, I've cut out gluten for 75 days, just seeing what that feels like. That's a small little tweak that I've done, which has felt really good. in my body. From a nutrition standpoint, definitely like supplementation products I love, and I love the company Symbiotica and what they put out, and in different, especially like kind of like the liposomal like food format, how they have the intake of that. Yeah, I think health is at the forefront. And if I was going to say my like weak spot is I like to eat, and I eat a lot. And, it's been a constant battle of being in control of that and sometimes letting that like, overindulging. But nutrition, it's at the forefront. I'm definitely always thinking about it, and, ways to improve while also really enjoying life and, and being able to enjoy all that's out there.
Yeah, that's an important piece of it. We can get too bogged down in all of the daily routines to forget to look up and say, all right, what's enjoyable, what works.
Totally.
And then on that, you're obviously busy, very busy human. You're a founder. You're doing a lot of all of these other things. Stress is probably part of your daily life, or at least weekly life. What does stress look like for you, and how do you manage that? It sounds like cold plunging helps, but anything else that you do from a stress management perspective?
It's a great question. Yeah, I mean, stress comes up and down at different moments into what's being experienced. I think I have a really good like home life. So, my partner's really supportive. Kind of, it's a real place that I can kind of, I feel like step away from what's going on. So that's been a massive part. Cold plunging is, it's become a core piece to it. I think at the end of the day, I'm doing something stressful every day to start the day. And it's kind of, it's increased the spectrum of like stress capabilities. The other thing too is sleep's vital for me. With everything that I'm working on, I'm still in bed by 8:39 every night. And thankfully that's never really been an issue for me. So I know as much as stress builds up, I always say like, let me go to sleep. Like, I'm not going to try and solve all the problems, and sleep usually solves 90% of my issues. So I think those are big ones. And just sweating. I think that's like when I start to be up here, the first thing I always check in with, when was the last time I had a good heavy sweat? And that again, right there up there with sleep usually solves, haven't figured out the exact number, but it's majority of the things that are spinning around up there. So it's just kind of going into the toolkit and being like, which one of these is the needed thing right now? And working through it. So I also, other subtle things, as I'm in like an executive coaching group that's been very helpful of new things as a founder I've never experienced before. I think a lot of my stress right now is built around the company. It's challenges I want to face. It's things we want to do, but I don't know, is this normal? Is this a code red? So being in kind of these positions or these groups that other people have been to has been really helpful for me to bounce ideas off of and kind of understand, get a baseline of, this is a typical challenge, or, oh, this is a little bigger issue. Maybe need to bring in some outside counsel to get some support here.
Are you tired of guesswork when it comes to your health? Look no further. Routine is here to simplify your wellness journey and help you unlock your best health. With Routine's convenient at-home lab tests and customized nutrient solutions, you can fast-track your health goals and understand your body like never before. No more one-size-fits-all approaches. Routine tailors science-backed plans and custom nutrient solutions to your unique needs, providing personalized nutrients, insights, and guidance. From smart multivitamins based on your lab test results to targeted supplements and personalized improvement plans for stress management, Routine has you covered. Experience unmatched results that you can track and feel, allowing you to achieve your full health potential with Routine. Visit routine.co to start your personalized path to ultimate well-being. Say goodbye to the hassle of generic solutions and take control of your health today.
I love all of those solutions. It's a combination of what are your routines, how are you thinking about your daily health, but also how are you thinking about relationships and kind of getting the support you need when you need it, which is something that's also very important, especially as a founder. And as you think about building this kind of new solution in this health and wellness space, I'm sure you're seeing a lot of trends. You're also seeing a lot of things that you wish existed in the market.
Yes.
What are you kind of what are you seeing today, and how do you see the future of health and wellness shifting over the next 3-5 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a world that's converging of telemedicine mixed with wearables, and supplementation. Like, I'm seeing all these kind of worlds independently, and I've seen some that are starting to put it together. But for me, it's like I've used multiple companies where I can go get blood work done, and then I meet with a professional online, and they're kind of we get to go over the blood work, and I get more consistent work there. But it hasn't fully been plugged in with its own kind of supplementation route, or like immediate. It's like a separate company I have to go to get the supplementation. Or I think wearables is a whole world that we're gonna become even more. Like, we're going to get even more feedback. Obviously what Whoop and Aura and these companies are doing is I can't even imagine what they have in the lab right now and what they're going to be rolling out. But I think what's exciting is, like, for example, with Plunge, like, we'll be rolling out an app here soon, and it's not in the MVP, but as we roll it out, is like, you'll get on and you'll say, okay, this is my age, my, these are my goals. These are some of the challenges I'm facing, whether it's from sleep or I'm having immune system issues. It's like, boom, okay, cool. Here's your protocol of like how to plunge. And then there could be like direct feedback in with your heart rate and how you're adapting to a plunge, or your HRV. And then in turn, that can give you even more clear protocols, science backed, into, how to cold plunge or incorporate your sauna into the lifestyle. So I think as we just get these newer modalities come online, especially the space that we're in, a lot of it's anecdotal, which is awesome, and more people, it's you can't deny what people are feeling, but then it's like, how do we make this a little more specific, maybe to a woman compared to a man and what they're going through, or at the different ages. So I think that's like, that's an area I'm really excited on, is these new tools and how to even incorporate them into our lives a little bit better.
Yeah, it's this concept of health 3.0 that a lot of people are working in and seeing, and we're seeing the foundation for a lot of it now. But to your point, what is the personalized approach to XYZ protocol? How does it work for other people like me, and how can it work for me, and how can I make sure that I'm actually seeing if it's working? What are the wearables? What are the tests? What are the other kind of things to say, all right, anecdotally or like qualitatively, it's working for me. I feel better from a mood perspective. What else is happening in my body? And getting a lot more clear on that, I think is going to be super interesting going forward. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. This was a fascinating conversation. Last piece, I just want to hear more about where we can find out more about you and more about the company.
Yeah, so go to plunge.com. You can learn about us with the cold plunge. We just released our sauna, so that's there now. We're really excited on that product coming into the market. Me personally, any interest, I'm on social medias, just usually Ryan Duey. You could find me there. But plunge.com is a great place to start for any of your cold plunge questions or needs.
Well, Ryan, thank you. And thank you to everyone listening for joining for another episode of the Precision Health Pod.
Thanks, Rachel. It's awesome.
Madden and Mitchell Media.